Hello and welcome to Professor Kev Show. As you can see, I got my friends Nelly and Leah with us, and they're from Slavic Voice for Ukraine. Hello, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
So
Thank you for
it's okay, before we get into the idea, tell me a little bit about yourself, Leah. What should we know about you?
My name is Leah. I am a junior at San Francisco University High School in San Francisco, and I'm very passionate about law, social justice. Outside of my extracurriculars, I like to read, and I'll pass it over to Nelly.
Hi, sorry. Hi, I'm Nelly. I'm also a junior. I go to George Washington High School in San Francisco, and I'm really passionate about education policy and civic engagement. And what some things I like to do for fun, I'm on my school swim team, and I love to dance.
So let's talk a little about Slavic Voice for Ukraine. Why did you start this opportunity? What need did you see?
Um, Leah and I both have a connection to Ukraine. We're both first generation immigrants, the first to be born outside of an Eastern European country or Ukraine. And kind of what we saw was when the full scale invasion started, people were talking about it, which was great. But after kind of the trending phase, like 2 weeks, everyone kind of stopped talking about it. Um, Everyone kind of moved on to the next thing. And personally, for Leah and I, that we kind of couldn't do that, and we saw that as very wrong. So we decided to build a platform to like educate youth. And Leah, feel free to add on.
Yeah, I think just following up on Nelly, our heritage with Ukraine just made this topic very near and dear to our hearts. And we wanted to see kind of other youth, even from beyond kind of people from the diaspora, engage with the issue because it is an issue that has very big global implications for, Eastern European security, US security, Western European security. And so we really wanted young people to kind of be educated on what the conflict is about and how it might affect their lives.
So tell us a little bit more about what you're doing to help educate people.
Slavic Voice kind of consists of like three pillars. Kind of we like to divide it up is obviously the education side. So we have regional, what we call kind of regional directors in every state because Leah and I only have 24 hours. So there's only so much we can do in California. So, and we're spread across 17 states and 7 countries. So kind of what those people do is they're also youth. They range from like middle schoolers to college students, and they go into their communities, whether it's their Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, or whatever, and they host presentations or art classes about Ukrainian art or something educational to engage their community. And then we also, under the education pillar, we also do podcasts and spread awareness on our social media sites. And then kind of the second one is advocacy. Um, Leah, do you want to kind of add on because that's more of the
Yeah, yeah. I'll just say for the podcast, we've had some notable people on there, like the youth delegates to the United Nations from Ukraine have spoken to us on that podcast, as well as some professors from Stanford. And so, yes, talking about our advocacy, we also want to kind of make change both on the local, state, and federal level with legislation because the United States is such an important ally for Ukraine. And as a youth who's personally interested in political science, I saw this as an opportunity to merge those two passions. So on the city and kind of state level, we have actually passed or will be passing like soon in the next month or two, some resolutions that are going to affirm California's support for Ukraine and its Ukrainian community, as well as in San Francisco. And we're trying to replicate this process around the 17 different states that we're located in. And on the national level, we were invited to the Ukraine Action Summit, which is hosted biannually, where over 750 delegates come and talk to their representatives on Capitol Hill. And so we were specifically asked to talk about one of the biggest issues in the conflict, which is the abduction of Ukrainian children and their forced deportation to Russia and kind of these forced kidnappings. And so Nellie and I spoke directly on this issue to several senators and representatives, and actually a good number of the representatives and senators that we spoke to kind of signed on or co-sponsored that piece of legislation, which was a resolution that would basically call for the return of all the children before the war ends. So those are kind of the three ways that we try to do advocacy with legislation.
So
Yeah, and the third pillar, oh, sorry.
go ahead.
Oh yeah, the third pillar is kind of journalism, where it's kind of all started. We wanted to give youth a platform to kind of speak about their experience with Ukraine, or just kind of how like they, were really passionate about the topic. Because a lot of people join Slavic Voice not because they're Ukrainian or Eastern European, it's because they want to learn something, they want to advocate, etc. And on our website, we have a journal where youth can publish. It's creative writing. People publish poems, reports, etc. And yeah.
So crystal ball time, my friends. What's the future hold for this idea? What's the ultimate goal?
I think the ultimate goal is to mobilize. I think the goal is to mobilize support for Ukraine, especially in like such a big country as the United States. And because our audience is youth, like we are engaging the future generation, we're engaging our future lawmakers, our future politicians, our future diplomats to know that this is an issue that is important to them. This is a culture that deserves to, have its attention on the world stage, that deserves to be independent of the other culture that is trying to swallow it up. And so that's kind of our education part. And I think in the future, we hope to do a service trip to Ukraine with our members to go and help rebuild and actually be on the ground in Ukraine, to have youth kind of from around the world to help the country. And I think also a big part of that aspect is it's very important for Ukraine to know that the world is standing with them. Like in a time of war, it is so key. And we have members from Ukraine who have, they read what our members from the US and from Europe put out. And they've told us that it's actually heartwarming to know that there's such interest in their culture, such support in their people at a time when it's trying to be destroyed.
So what's the best way for people to reach out? How can I learn more?
We're available on LinkedIn, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, you name it. And always like we put in our bios, like here's a link to fill out membership form, here's a link to submit articles, here's our email. Like we check our email constantly. We'll always respond between in the next 24 hours when people respond. So yeah.
Awesome. I appreciate you both taking a few minutes to call on the show. And as always, thanks for being my friend.
Thank you.
Thank you.